Crane's Cleveland Business is featuring a periodic series profiling behind-the-scenes people who are key to the success of food-related businesses in Northeast Ohio. This week we featured Derek Clayton, who is corporate chef for Michael Symon Restaurants. He's a key member of the team helping to operate 10 restaurants that are owned by one of America's favorite celebrity chefs. Derek first teamed up with Michael Symon as sous chef of Lola when that downtown restaurant opened in 2006. Now he is in charge of menu and recipe development, as well as technique instruction for Symon's restaurants.
I always liked cooking, and I have memories of being very young, too young to reach the counter, making scrambled eggs or French toast. Those are my two first dishes, where I would push myself up on top of the counter to get access to the stove. So I'd always been interested in cooking, and I thought a lot about going to cooking school when I got out of high school, but it wasn't like today, where that's really I don't want to say a viable option, but a common move. So I went to college, and after my sophomore year, I kind of felt like cooking was what I wanted to do. I ended up getting a job at a local sort of chain steakhouse, where I was the baked potato guy. That was my first sort of kitchen job. I fired a sheet tray of baked potatoes every 15 minutes. So at that point, I got a job and I stopped going to school full time. Much to my father's dismay. He wasn't real thrilled about that. Then went back to school, pretty much part-time from there and finished, but kept working in restaurants. Okay. And slowly working at better places, places that were more from scratch, that kind of thing. I had met Michael before. Michael had done a James Beard dinner at Tribute. Okay. And then in turn, Takashi and myself had come down to do a similar function at Lola, the original location in Tremont. And so I called up Michael and I was like, look, what's going on with the new location? Do you have any more, do you got any work? And he was like, yeah, be here at the beginning of May. And so I put my house up on the market, and we had passed that 3-year prepayment penalty point at that point, and moved to Cleveland. I was doing at that time a lot of the fish butchery and some of the sauce work, but also working a station at night too. So those were some really long days, some long weeks in the beginning. So at that time, then Michael was here, pretty much full time for the opening. So when we opened, Michael and I worked right next to each other on stations for service, which was pretty fun. And slowly as time went by, I started getting more involved in, some of the menu items, and, I had some ideas that I wanted to try out, and Michael was, he showed a lot of faith in me, and he was really, gave me a lot of latitude to try some things. My role now has kind of become, it's sort of the same as it was at Lola, except now it's with a lot of different kitchens. And that certainly is not something that, again, I don't do that alone. It's something that you really have a team of really good people that are handling a lot of things. It's when we're talking about new menus and new dishes and coming up with new ideas, or if there's troubleshooting that needs to be done. I'm looking now more at purveyors and where are we getting things from, and what can we do better with how we're sourcing things, and from not only from a financial standpoint, but from a sort of a philosophical one too. One of my old chefs always used to preach to me, know your next step. What's your next step, and what are you doing to get there? And at this point, I'm not sure what my next step is. It could very well be staying with this company and working with Michael and continuing to, open new restaurants and, work with the great group of people that we have in this company. Or I always harbored that dream of, opening the 40-seat restaurant, that does great food and everybody loves it, and it's a fantasy land.